Well, welcome to the corner again. Here we are again in my yellow shirt. I'll change it tomorrow, guys, so don't feel offended. I've been asked a question of where all this is going, and the real simple fact is that there was a group of us that got together in the middle 90s based on independent work in the late 80s and early 90s, and we decided that the bank system was corrupt and it needed some help. And a lot of us did a lot of work, a lot of us paid a lot of prices. And now with the American people becoming awake to all of the bank fraud because of the mortgage situation has blown up worldwide and pretty much collapsed the whole economy of the world, let's look at that for what it is. I'm in Los Angeles right now. I live in Seattle. I was recently in Hawaii. What I see is American people going to work day by day, day in and day out. Yeah, there's a lot more people unemployed than there used to be, but for the most part, the American people are taking care of themselves by going to work and taking care of each other. That's what we do. That's what the American people's about. The only ones that are really in trouble here are the banks. So the bottom line is, they had to borrow money from us to stay in business. That should mean we own them, shouldn't it? Okay, so let's clear that idea up. Well, we do in fact own them. The second issue is that there's a lot of talk about the national debt, that every American owes this much. Well, here's a real simple principle and I want you to think about it. Who is liable on a debt other than the issuer? So, no one. If you didn't issue the debt, you can't be held liable for it, can you? If someone attempts you to force to pay somebody else's debt, that's slavery, isn't it? So, my neighbor over here, Doré, if I can commit her to Don to pay my debt, that's a pretty good deal, isn't it? But what if Doré says that's not my debt? So please explain to me which one of you Americans has any kind of obligation to pay the national debt. The issuers are responsible. Who issued the instruments? Who issued the payment instrument or the debt instruments? The U.S. Treasury is responsible. The Treasury is driven by Congress and the executive branch, and the Federal Reserve are responsible, or their owners. So you, the American people, are not responsible for the national debt. The banks are, just like they're responsible to you for the bailout money. Next issue is, where do we go from here? Well, to the World Bank system and the World Bank owners, a program is presented to return the American people to ownership of our own money. Not a private bank. Well, the U.S. Treasury for a long time issued public money for private use. It means the American people own the money that was issued by the United States, and we receive the benefit of its use. In other words, the banks had to borrow from us to stay in business. The corporations had to borrow from the banks to stay in business. We, the American people, therefore, were the creditors to the system. And that system has already been developed. It's been presented to the World Bank owners, and they seem to have accepted it as the only viable opportunity and solution at this point. There's a few of us that are working very diligently on that, and we decided that it was time to move here recently. So we have begun closing out the judicial branch, where the corruption is protecting the courts, or protecting from the courts to the banks and the politicians that allow this to happen. If you don't have a crooked judge, you can't have a crooked court. The court's nothing more than the application of the law. How it's applied is where the crooks are. So when all the judges, if you saw one of the other pieces, are paid by the banks in their retirement benefit program, there's no possibility for remedy, is there? We've been foreclosed from doing anything correctly and getting any relief. So it's time to get some honest judges. It's time to get some honest bankers, and it's time for an honest money system. The honest money system is a U.S. Treasury that issues U.S. money, that is public money owned by the people for private use of everyone. So that's our day today for Individual Resolution Society. Share this with your neighbors, pass it all over the world, and let's get a consensus going on if this solution is good for everybody. Thank you today.